Guys, our partners at Manscaped have done it again. The leading brand in men's hygiene and grooming is proving to be the leader in men's health as well. April is Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and our friends at Manscaped have teamed up with the Testicular Cancer Society to help spread the word. Manscaped is donating $50,000 from the sales of the new special edition Purple TCS Lawnmower 4.0 electric waterproof trimmer to their longtime partner, the Testicular Cancer Society. There are only 10,000 units in existence, so make sure you get yours today while supplies last. Just visit manscaped.com/TCS to access resources about cancer prevention and men's health. If you'd like to save 20% plus get free shipping on the new Lawnmower TCS 4.0 Special Edition Trimmer and help Manscaped raise awareness and give back to the Testicular Cancer Society, use code Chael at manscaped.com or just click on the link below. Oh my goodness, I'm on fire over here, guys. I'm on fire. We just had, Chatri just came on. Now, to set this up for you, One Championship is getting ready to touch down in America for a live event for the first time. Cinco de Mayo, pretty easy to remember, right? So we're getting into it. I'm asking him about Demetrious Johnson. Demetrious Johnson shows up on Ariel's show two days ago and announces that this trilogy fight, which is the main event of the card that One is bringing, his trilogy fight against Moraes might be his last, and that came out of nowhere. Now, many guys are doing that. Right, we get these trends in MMA where one guy does something and then everybody's got to do it, right? So Jon Jones mentions a few days ago that his next fight might be his last one, and all of a sudden you hear Demetrious say, so you're always trying to take things with a grain of salt. If somebody sees somebody else, right, it's monkey see, monkey do. You see somebody else do something, you think that's a good idea, you come over and copy it. But Demetrious isn't that guy, and in all fairness, neither is Jon Jones. I mean, if we wanted to be fair about it, I don't always like to be fair when it comes to Jon Jones. But if I was to be fair, I can't remember a time that Jon told us something that wasn't accurate. And I can't remember the last time Demetrious ever said something to get a headline. And if you bring down a guy like Demetrious Johnson, right? And I even told Chatri this. I said, look, I follow the golden rule of life, which is put myself in somebody else's shoes and think about how I would behave. But it's very difficult for anybody to put themselves in the shoes of somebody as wildly successful as Demetrious Johnson. I did not interpret the same way Ariel did. Ariel's interpretation was, okay, wow, the end could be near for Demetrious. And Chatri said, hey, listen, I think there's a bit of a jinx. When a guy starts talking about retirement, it's a problem. And historically, Chatri is completely correct. You go back, you read about guys talking about retirement, it does not go well. I had a different interpretation. I've known Demetrious a very long time. I have a different interpretation. I think what he was telling us is he's all in. I think this was a I burned my boats moment. This is it for me. Meaning if I don't beat this guy, I'm walking away. That's how I interpreted it. Now, do what you want with that. I got Chatri here. And I say to him, I say, Chach, a lot of us come out, we guess every single day what's going to happen. But you're one of 3 actual decision makers in this sport. So where are we at with Francis? You want to know what he said? I think he slipped. Chatri said to me, he said, Chael, as you know, we're in talks with Francis. And he said, I predict you're going to hear some big news on Francis coming very soon. And I said, oh, really? I said, hold on. Did you mean to say that? And he re-answered it. And he said, well, I wasn't trying to hint that I've already done a deal with Francis. Chatri says, as a matter of fact, to be candid with you, where I'm at in the process is I have one final presentation to make to Francis. So by saying that, Chatri is letting us know, hey, I've been in talks with him. I've made him some offers. We didn't get it done. I actually have one left. I've negotiated. I've gone back and forth. I actually have my best offer, and I still got a couple of days to get it together. Okay, that's interesting. But, I mean, you guys get this from my perspective, right? I just got the leader of an organization to say he thinks there's going to be news coming soon. Now I've got the leader of the organization being a little bit more detailed, saying his best is still to come. I said, all right, look, if we're just being hypothetical, if a guy like Francis comes over to one championship, does he go right into a title fight? And Chatri said, likely. But then he laid out his own calendar. He's got an interim champion right now. He's got a heavyweight champion. These guys got a date coming sooner rather than later. And ultimately, I said, Chatri, Francis really wants to box. Is that something you would do within your cage? And if you guys are familiar with one championship, one thing that sets them apart greatly is they will hold and contest a number of rule sets all in the same evening. The Rutello brothers and Mikey, just by example, they're not even striking out there. On the other side of the coin, Rodtang is only striking out there. On the other side of the coin, there was one time Demetrius versus Rodtang that got MMA one round, and the second round is striking, and the third round they're back to MMA. I mean, Ray, you can have some real fun in there, which means you could go out there and box. They've got the money, and they got the balls, right? It takes a lot of that. You're making bets, but they got the money, they got the balls to bring over the boxers. And I'm just sharing for you, it was a very interesting conversation. Why'd Chatri say he thinks there's going to be some big news? Why'd he say that? Did he screw up? Was it just something amongst boys? This interview's a little early over here. Did he mean to say that? Or has he got something? And I did think that it was interesting as he was talking about putting his best and final offer together and going to Francis. Because one thing that we've been told on Francis's side is that Francis is doing this. Now, I don't love that. I don't love that, but that's, you know, I put my nose in Francis' business enough. That's a personal choice. I believe in this space, you're always better to have somebody speak for you. Now, you got to pay that person. And if you have somebody speak for you, you're responsible for the stupid things that they say. Right? On the other side of it, you have a buffer. And if you have that buffer, it makes it very hard to upset somebody. And it makes it very hard to hurt somebody's feelings. In this sport, as soon as one side thinks, even if it's a misinterpretation, if they think you've pulled something crooked, it's hard to come back. It's hard to come back. If a promoter in this thinks you're being anything less than a partner, even though you're not, right? The whole time, as far as all they want is them, so they don't care if you got a business. But there's still an ebb and a flow here. It's a problem. And if you have that buffer, you have that third person, it's different. Somebody to vet for you, somebody knows what other people are offering, somebody that can even understand those contracts. I mean, some of those participation in those clauses get a little bit tough, particularly in a Francis situation where you're looking for something called a carve-out. I don't know if there's a fighter under contract that could come on my show right now and define what a carve-out is. It's a very simple definition. I just don't think that they know. These contracts can get a little bit sophisticated. Francis is doing it himself. On the other hand of it, well, I want to sit back and judge it. That's kind of cool. I mean, if Francis pulls this whole thing off, oh, and by the way, does it all by himself, that'll be kind of cool. Can we give him that? And I don't know that there's anything within the one platform that I don't want to see Francis do. I mean, I just laid out for you guys what Rodtang did with Demetrius when I told you 1 round MMA, 1 round striking. I would like to see Francis do that. We could find the opponent later. I told you about the Rutello brothers. I told you about Mikey. Buchecha does a little bit of it. Gary Tonin going over there just doing some straight up grappling. Rumor has it they've got a contract with Gordon to do that. You guys don't think of Francis as a pure grappler, right? You think, oh, I got to see Francis doing some striking. Well, what if he didn't? I mean, what if one night he just pops in there, he's going to go out there and do a 15-minute grappling contest? You see where this gets pretty interesting? There's not very many things that you would mind seeing Francis do in the world of combat. I mean, I'm just suggesting for you. There's a number of things based on what Francis told us he needs to have that one already has. An ability to box, an ability to do something else, an ability if an opportunity comes up to try something new, right? I mean, Francis is, I don't know, he's at least 37 years old now. He's been claiming he's 36 for about 5 years now. I don't know how old Francis is. But I just share with you, when you start to get to that, when you start to get to later years in your career, everybody breaks down at a different rate. But once you start breaking down, you guys ever had a car? You ever had a car and you love that car and you drove it? But when something went wrong with that car, then the second thing came. The car was great for you. It was great for you for 10 years, man. There was never a problem. You barely even had to change the oil. But when one thing happened, then another thing happened. And then another thing, and then another thing. And all of a sudden, within 2 months, you got 5 things happening and it's in the shop. 10 years, it was great to you. Now it's in the shop, right? Has that ever happened? But an athlete is a lot the same way. That athlete and that boy, that thing will hold up. As soon as he starts going bad, it goes really bad. We got a guy that just did 8 months on the sidelines with a bad wheel. And there's things you can tough out. There's things that you can push through, for sure. Not being able to move, particularly in the heavyweight division, right? That leg and that, it's a really important thing. And I don't begrudge Francis. I think he's a tough son of a bitch for it. I'm complimenting Francis. Going out there, having a bad knee, going and finding a way to beat Ciryl Gane anyway when you're down 2 rounds. I'm complimenting Francis. The other side of it is time is not on our side. And coming up with carve-outs just by example. One, an ability to box and an ability to make a movie and an ability to do MMA. At some point, what difference does it make? I mean, at some point, when you're talking about, I got to be able to box, and I got to be able to do MMA, and I want to pursue a championship, and I got to have pay-per-view points, and I need to go over here. You don't have this many left in you, bro. Okay, if we take an average of what you've done in the last 2 years, we have 1 fight. So let's just take that average, and let's just times it by 3. Now we're going to put you at a plus 40, which doesn't happen very often. People aren't paying money to watch plus 40s fight, but let's just say we've now got you plus 40 and we got 3 matches in. That's just if we go off of what you've done. If we take a mean, an average of your last 2 years. If I take an average of your last 2 years, I got you at 43 years old and I've had 3 matches with you. I mean, do you see where at some point it really doesn't matter? At some point, we're just talking about talking. And there's a point in there for sure that you're a good businessman. And there's another point in there where you're unemployed. And it's a very interesting spot. I don't know that anybody's financials have been more in front of us than one championship. Like there's somebody out there that just loves to do a thing on one. And I think it's because they were so good at raising money. Like they had so many hedge funds guys that were getting in this and believing in this project that it just made all of these waves. What I'm speaking to is I've got a guy in Chatri that can make this decision. He can say yes or no to everything that the Predator wants. And he's been working on it for a while and he's not done. And he told us he's got his best and final. It's coming in a few days. And he slipped in there that he thinks a big announcement is coming soon. I wonder what that announcement could be.